For me, I remain eternally grateful to you for what you did for me to be here and everything. Our topic today is democratic transition in the 21st century Nigeria, 2023 and beyond. I think it's for great people like you or people like Chimamanda you invited, but for me as a trader, I'll try to contribute in my own little way, the way I think we should go. For me, democracy have a simple description. Government of the people, by the people, for the people. That means everything about democracy is the people. And transition means changing from one thing to the other. And for me, Nigeria needs urgent transition from being a highly insecure country to a secure country, from a disunited country to a united country, from corruption to a transparent country. There's no way, if I say, for example, I'm going to ensure that I secure, unite Nigeria, I'm going to govern by consensus, that are coercive and all this. It's for you to check the past and say, this man who is saying this, he's passed through some offices or places. Can we check what is being country? From a country of lawlessness to a country of law and order. But in all this, it is important that we look at where we are today for people to understand the gravity of the journey we are going to take if we are going to transit. If we are going to transit, where are we today? Nigeria have qualified to be a failed state. We have met the 2 or 3 biggest characteristics of a failed state. Number 1 is when you're no longer in charge of your territory. Today, we are among the top terrorized countries of the world. We are among the top kidnapping countries of the world. Banditry, criminality, bandits have taken over some parts of this country. Nigerians are being killed daily. All sorts of criminality is going on daily. Even our most important source of foreign exchange revenue, oil, is today 80% stolen. That shows how bad it is. We are the only country, apart from Venezuela, who we know is their own is because of sanctions that is not meeting up its OPEC quota. Every other country is begging for increase, but Nigeria is not meeting up its own. And you wouldn't believe the quantity that is missing. In July alone, our total average, our quota is 1.8 million. In July, our total average was 1,083,000 barrels a day. That means that in July, we lost 707,000 barrels per day. If you multiply that by 31 days, it will give you 22,227 barrels of oil that we lost. This is a country that needs dollar. If you sell it, if you sell that oil, if you sell the quantity we lost, this is July alone. If you sell it at the average price of $110, it will give you $2,450,000,000, which at our rate of exchange of 550, you lost. If you use 550, because I used an average of 550, you've lost 1,344,700,000,000 naira. That is your country. That's what you lost in 1 month because of stealing. It is important that we know this. Number two item to show that we are failed state is that you are no longer in control of your economy. Your economy today, we have an economy where we have over 100 million people living in poverty. Your unemployment is one of the worst in the world because you have a combined unemployment of 50%, unemployment and underemployment. Out of 200 million Nigerians, 60% is supposed to be working. So you're supposed to have 120 million Nigerians working, but today Nigerians that are working are under 50 million. So 70-something million of Nigerians are not working, they are not productive. When you compare this to your productivity, you will see how low it is. But what is even worse, we're in a physical mess, total physical mess, because of all this. Between January this year and April, the total revenue of federal government of Nigeria is 1,630,000,000,000 naira. Their expenditure is 4,720,000,000,000. If you minus this, we have a deficit of 3.100,000,000,000. That shows almost 20% to almost 200% is the deficit. And this is the crisis we face. How did we come here? It's a cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years. Because it's 10%, I'll stop here, I would have talked about power. How did we come here? What are we going to do very quickly to come out of this? Very quickly, you need to have a visionary, articulated, competent leadership to start turning around this. So next year, the time is up. I'll take it there. Now next year, the election you're going to have next year will not be about, remember, it is not about tribe, no religion, not connection, not entitlement. It must be election about character, competence, capacity, and commitment to deliver. You have to immediately review and restructure the entire security architecture. Make it responsive and responsible. Responsive is that they will deal with issues as quickly as possible. Responsible is that somebody is in charge, and if he's not doing it, don't wait. The person will go.
By any standards in Nigeria, you're a very wealthy man. You know, you've done well for yourself. A lot of your wealth in the country comes through importation. You import goods into the country, goods that are needed in the country. But now, one of the things you say you want to turn Nigeria into is a country that is less dependent on importation and more dependent on manufacturing its own goods. And some people would say, well, that's good for you. You've made all the money. Now you want to change things.
I think they're wrong. I said I'll move the country from consumption to production. What I mean by that is that I want to see people wealth with enterprise. So if we say you're wealthy, there must be something you're doing to people. When it comes to, I was a successful businessman, and I was involved in the whole value chain, from agricultural produce to manufacturing to distribution. What people used to see with me is the distributing part of it while I was in business. When I was in trade, I was distributing local goods as well as importing to complement. What is important is that we want to move from, when I talk about consumption to production, look at the vast land we have in the north. That is the most important physical assets of the country today. If you cultivate all that vast land, we will feed ourselves, we will export. That vast land can change Nigeria.
Do you honestly believe that, you know, you can win these Nigerian presidential elections? And I ask that question simply because people have pointed out to the fact that you are contesting against more established candidates in more established parties. Your party doesn't even have a single elected official anywhere in Nigeria. People say your party lacks structure. How are you going to defeat these odds? Do you honestly believe you can beat these odds?
Well, Peter, you're right. But it's for the people to look at the past years. What brought us to where we are today is cumulative effect of leadership failure over the years by the same people who are elected, by the same people who are in office today. So we're talking about the structure that have kept us where we are, the structure that have produced the highest number of people in poverty in any country, the structure that have produced the highest number of out-of-school children, the structure that have made the country one of the most corrupt countries in the world, the culture that have made it one of the most insecure places in the world, the structure that have brought about highest youth unemployment in the world, the structure that have made drug prevalence in Nigeria the highest, the structure that have made us to overtake India in infant mortality. That's why the fact there are 1.4 billion and we're doing. So I can go on and tell you about what this structure is all about. The structure that have brought disunity in Nigeria, that is the structure we want to remove. We want to bring a structure that will secure, unite, and bring about production-centered leadership in Nigeria, where we will start pulling people out of poverty. Our children will be in school, where we will start ensuring that people get jobs when they leave school by supporting micro, small enterprises, a structure that will start governing by rule of law, a structure that will fight corruption. This is the structure we need now. So I believe that the people know what I'm fighting for. Where do we want to be in the world of today? The world of today has changed, and we must be in the committee of developing nations. And that's what I'm promising.